On. All right, I'm back for NA to Z CS2's ongoing coverage of Fragadelphia 18. I'm with FaNg following the end of their run earlier today. So to start, end of the road here at Fragadelphia 18. How are you feeling about the team's result overall?
Overall, I'm definitely, disappointed with the result just in terms of my own, standard and everything like that. But when I put it in perspective and just how this team's been built as part of the astronauts and just us coming into this event hasn't been easy by any means in terms of, roster or chemistry in terms of that. Just things that are out of control, but in terms of making the best of it, we definitely showed that in my opinion, and that's something I can overall just be proud of.
With the loss to Fluffy Amers, that was something I think probably the biggest upset we've seen here at Fragadelphia 18, outside of some things in the group stage. Do you view them as a peer? Would you rate their level compared to sort of the upper crust of the NA scene right now?
Honestly, I don't rate that team that highly. I'm gonna just be honest. They have some good players in my opinion. They can obviously shoot to an extent, but in terms of CS, they're not really anyone I kind of look at. The thing I'll say though is we just weren't really at a good spot as a team at that point in the tournament. So they played well. They deserved the win, and that's on them. And congrats to them. And just for us, it's just a matter of getting better each game we play.
Looking at your career, it's actually surprising to know that this is your first Fragadelphia event, because you kind of were one of that group of players, I would say, with players like B Wills, Cynic, 60, who didn't really go to Frag because you guys all came up in the scene together right as COVID hit. So your formative years, there were no LAN tournaments. So this is your first Frag tournament. So how have you enjoyed your first Frag LAN?
Honestly, I've enjoyed it a lot, and just to mention some names too, like a lot of those guys I went to Valorant previously, or some of my old teammates, Zeppa, Leaf, guys I went to Valorant that kind of stopped playing CS, and then with that, players like B Wills or other players listed that maybe stopped playing or still competed but didn't really hit tier 1 yet. And yeah, just being at a Frag is honestly super cool, because for me, I never had that opportunity of going to kind of like a local North American tournament that's still pretty, high intensity and good teams play, and it's basically just a chance to, show yourself, prove yourself, and it's cool. It was a cool environment for me. It kind of felt like I gotta, get that in my arsenal, and it was nice. Met a lot of cool people, so.
And this is a good way, I think, to end your season with Party Astronauts. It was a really solid team. I would say turned things around after a pretty rough year for the tag, considering the fact that you finished third place in ECL, and now you made I would say a respectable run here at Fragadelphia 18. How are you feeling about the overall state of the team right now heading into 2025?
Honestly, I can say this with confidence. It's just the best team that we've had, or personally that I can say with confidence I've been with for the past little while. Maybe not in terms of results just yet, but in terms of just functionality, personalities, everything like that. And I've enjoyed every step of the way with that, and at the same time, it's just been an enjoyable process for me, because I see the growth and I see players I want to get better every single day. Because for me, all I want to do is play CS. I want to be back at that level, and I don't want to be players that don't feel the same way. So seeing that and reflecting that in practice is something that is a culture here, and something, for example, I want to turn into getting an actual organization and actually kind of bring that NA brand and the image back, where teams can respect, and I think NA's done a good job overall in the sense of starting to bring the name back. For example, a team like Wildcard, just how they play at the major, it's respectable, and I think that's something, especially someone like Stanislaw, the way he did that's something I want to also bring to, and actually give people a chance to realize that, because obviously my own play speaks for itself, but I also I'm pretty good at finding players and making sure they perform well, and kind of being a leader on the server in terms of my play, but also just help mentoring, for example, younger players like that, and giving them a chance to be their best.
Speaking of young players, I would say the outlier on this squad in terms of experience, in terms of overall culture, would be, of course, OG Wizard, the most recent addition to the squad outside of Viz. But, is Viz really a new addition to the team? Probably not, considering it's his fourth time here. He is, but he kind of is, but he isn't. But so focusing on, OG Wizard, he sort of breaks the mold of what we sort of see in a Party Astronauts roster in many ways. He's younger than a lot of you guys. He's, of course, Ukrainian. He didn't, play on an experienced team before coming into this Party Astronauts roster. So I wanted to ask you, as you're someone who talked about sort of, the team culture and the overall NA scene culture, and sort of being a leader of younger players, how has the team integrated him to squad, and how does he fit into the team's culture?
Badia, or OG Wizard, he's someone who, honestly, from when I kind of stopped playing for a little bit in terms of I was kind of just on my contract, figuring out what I was going to do. I didn't really follow the NA scene too much, but I would still follow, certain teams and players. And for example, when I play against certain players, not necessarily even just him, but certain, whether it's North American or when I'm just playing, it's pretty easy for me to tell a certain level out of a player, whether it's just like they have a good trait, maybe it's their individual skill, maybe it's the way they speak or communicate, little things like that. And I think Body was just someone who is definitely just moldable in terms of, he's a pretty good player. There's a lot of stuff that he needs to work on, but with the right group, and especially for kind of the player I see in him, and also the player he wants to be, it's something natural, honestly.
And in terms of how he fits into the team culture, is he like a little brother to the squad, or kind of what's his sort of order, place in the pecking order, place in the sort of like relationship? Are we giving him, are we giving him support? Are we, giving him some, swirly whirlies or anything like that, for being the little brother of the team?
It's so funny because this is the first time in my career where I've been not the youngest player on the team. So yeah, it's definitely a weird feeling, but at the same time, for me, it's like something I honestly embrace because, yeah, like with the atmosphere we have and the relationship we have, he's definitely like literally just a little brother. And it's actually funny because I've never felt like that with any kind of players on teams. I mean, to an extent, but not in the same role because, like I said, that was kind of me before. So it was funny in that way.
So let's talk about your path to Party Astronauts, because of course you spent the start of the year with the Boss squad before making that decision to jump from Boss to Party Astronauts. At the time, there wasn't really a lot said on your part about why you decided to make that move. Can you tell us more about what went into deciding to sort of join Ben Leet and the in the Party Astronauts squad?
Yeah, so that's something actually, that part of my career, even for example, NRG to an extent, it was a very weird period for me because I know the level I can play at. I know what I bring to a team, so it's very easy for me to, do my thing to a very high level and help the players around me kind of be better. And that's something with also like with how complex you went to, something I've just reflected on, I've gotten better at. And now it's a matter of just like embracing that. Boss was an opportunity just for me to get kind of my foot back in the door and just play my, the CS I play, or like how the impact I have on the server, I could actually do that again, and just have an opportunity to do that again with Pro League. But other than that, it was also a test for me just to see, for example, okay, like how's NA, how are some of these players, because I wasn't necessarily all familiar with some of them. And, they surprised me. And after that, it was just a matter of, with Party Astronauts, I felt like that was the best move for me to maintain my level consistently, but also just elevate a team to the next level, because Party Astronauts has been a team that, they've played Tier 1 events to an extent. They've made Pro Leagues, they've made, Challenger events. It's just a matter of maintaining that and also obviously getting an organization and being, a notable team.
Discussing, your individual level, I think a lot of people would say that the peak in your career thus far was Extra Salt during the online era, where we saw, I think, you really come into your own as an individual player. And since then, it's been sort of the ideal to see you return to that level of form. Do you think returning to, the absolute highest level of your career with Extra Salt is something you feel is attainable to return to?
100%. I feel like on Extra Salt for me, I was even at maybe 50%, honestly. But that's also just a matter of me understanding not only myself, but also, what makes me great, what do I need to be great around me. And I feel like I know that now, and that's something where I just showcase naturally now. There's nothing that's forced, there's no randomness or anything, and I can, live with whatever results, whether it's I play good, whether it's play bad, but maintaining that level I know I always play at and the impact it'll leave on the server, because for me, it's a natural thing.
Knowing you've played under a lot of pretty recognizable and experienced IGLs, whether that's someone like JT, someone like Cryptic, people you had a chance to work with early in your career, how would you rate Ben Leet as leader? He's someone who, of course, has been in the scene for an incredibly long time, but it's only now your first time, I believe, playing with him on a long-term squad.
Yeah, that's actually something I often ask myself to an extent, just due to the fact where I haven't really played with that many IGLs, and even the IGLs I have played with, for example, JT, when I was playing with him, it was something where I was a rookie, and my experience wasn't necessarily the best. So despite however I may have felt about the game, maybe certain situations, or how I felt I wanted to play as a player, I didn't have the confidence or the experience to really reassure that. And through playing with, for example, other IGLs, getting perspective on things, for example, someone like Cryptic's also a player who is really moldable in my opinion, in respect to him, and I think he's someone who puts in a lot of work and he shows it. And his calling style is a little bit different, for example, someone like JT, but I can understand and see the direction he wants to go, and that's also with me trying to help him out. But someone like Ben Leet, for me, actually surprised me a lot in the sense of he trusts his players a lot. He lets me, for example, make my reads, make my decisions, and basically let me be myself on the server, and I've learned, especially for myself, that's how I play my best. So that's something where going forward, just a standard, and that's something kudos to him and respect to him, because I've always felt that he gets the most out of his players when they play for him.
Now, looking ahead to 2025, I think the kind of statement a lot of NA teams feel like is we need to be consistent, because the way the bounty points work, the VRS points, you're essentially going to be fighting for points until the day the major starts, and how you play in the circuit now has so much weight into whether or not you make the major. When we talked to Bentley at the start of the event, he mentioned that Party Astronauts obviously has an incredible high, but consistency is this thing that in a way holds the team back from really challenging to be a top NA squad. What is the team working on, and what are the focuses for next year to make sure when we come into the server, when we come into 2025, we are able to play at a consistent level to ensure we gain VRS points?
It's just steps. From kind of the moment I joined this team, I knew, for example, moves would have to be made in order for us to be at our best, in order for us to win just tournaments, be consistent, and just be a good team. And realistically, we've hit some of the steps in terms of making moves in order to do that. But at the same time, it's been a little rough because, for example, players potentially getting poached, or not potentially, getting poached. And no, it's not something that really hinders the project at all. It just makes it progress a little slower. But for example, in terms of what's going to propel us is a coach is the first thing for sure. And that's something I've also been very advocate on, in the sense of a coach will elevate this team for sure, and also lift way more pressure off my shoulders, Ben's shoulders, stuff like that, but also an organization. That's probably the biggest thing, because opportunities, playing more tournaments, having opportunities to boot camp, these guys basically, and us, myself included, we have the recipe to be a top team. It's just a matter of letting the things develop and come into their own. And yeah, that's probably the next thing I definitely say as a coach and organization.
And hopefully that search will bear some fruit, both on the organizational front and the coaching front, as we head into 2025. Thank you so much for your time, FaNg, and we'll let you go.